This conference will now be recorded.
Okay,
Okay.
Dan.
And I'll
Thank you.
send you out access, and we'll send out access to you, Dan.
Okay, thank you. And I sent you another email too, John, regarding the alias.
Yep, I did see that.
Okay, cool. Have a good one.
Okay, thanks all.
All right. Take care now.
All
So we
right.
got Daniel and Robert. Glad you could join, Robert.
Okay.
I did send a message, or I left a message for Victor as well. He'd wanted to meet in any case at a different time, but this is when everybody was available.
Okay, so do you want to make me presenter, John?
Yes, sir. Let me do this. Okay, you got it.
All right. So I figured out the issue. It should work now. So Dan and Robert, you do not have access, correct? To the environment?
I do.
Who's that? Is that Dan?
That's affirmative.
Okay. So you have access. Robert, do you have access to the environment?
Yeah, I mean, as far as I can tell, yeah, it's CRM 89, shoot, some other numbers, but yeah, it's Contoso.
So let's just see. I'm going to log in as you. Not that I don't trust you, I just want to make sure that it's all dialed in.
Yeah, I mean, I have access to the solution, and can make changes. Getting to the actual solution is, I think, the kind of biggest hurdle at the moment.
So there, I'm logged in as you, and if I go to Dynamics, oh, there you go. So you can access all of it here, and then you get into the Sales Hub. So I'm logged in as you,
actually, Robert. Yeah. Well, it's Sales Hub or the actual sales app.
Yeah. Either one will get you there.
Okay.
Yeah. So you can get to. So you're there. So you're going to be able to get in. So. Yeah. So I think I figured out why. Active accounts. There should be a bunch in here.
Yeah, yesterday I added a test account just to make sure that I could, and it populated.
Okay. Cool. So do I need to set up Victor then, John?
Well, Robert, I think you're more current on that.
Yeah, Victor has the same access as well. We were just kind of figuring out what access we had yesterday. So me and Victor spent a bit of time kind of figuring out what we had access to, what we could do, and I kind of moved on to like the statement of work and created like a flow chart of exactly what the deliverables are and what needs to be created. I do have a question about the information. Like when I create a test contact, where's that information being stored? Is that Azure? Is that in Dynamics 365? Like where's that information being housed? Is that a database that's...
Sure. So let me go here. I'll just open it up right here. So this is all in the cloud. Okay. Let me open something for you. This might help you.
And by the way, while John is doing that, Robert and Victor, I know you guys were having an issue with seeing way too many entities. In other words, the entire universe of entities rather than the ones that we were doing. When you published, in other words, right, you would see that all the entities showed up. Did you get that? Did you figure out that issue, or is that still open?
No, we were able to address that. It was for whatever reason.
The solutions area, right?
Exactly. Yeah, in the custom solutions, and the entities, it was 48 of them listed when there should have been like 8 or 9, something like that. But yeah, luckily, actually, I had a cached version of the solutions list open, so it showed everything that should have been there, and then we just matched the updated, the incorrectly updated solutions list with the cached version, so it does show what it's supposed to now.
Okay, so I think this will help you here. So this is a sales presentation that I typically do, okay? And I'm not trying to sell you guys, but this answers your question is, where is the data being stored? What is Microsoft's value proposition? What do we tell customers? So Microsoft has multiple online service clouds, if you will. The first being Azure. So, and if you notice on the right, we have all of some of the feature functionalities of Azure, as well as there's Active Directory, all kinds of security, authentication, and so forth. That's kind of one of our clouds.
John, what is IoT?
It is Internet of Things. Have you guys heard that term? Do you know what that is?
Yeah, it's when your computer can get on the internet, or when your refrigerator can get on the internet.
That is correct. So your refrigerator, but if you really think about it, it goes even further to medical devices, anything out in the field, HVAC machines, oil pipelines. It's pretty amazing.
Oh yeah, I'm familiar with it. It's pretty cool.
Okay. So then we have our Microsoft 365. Some of that you've already experienced, which is the Windows 10, Office 365, Enterprise and Security. And if you noticed, is the entire admin area right here. So there's always a Microsoft Admin Center, which all your users go into, and then you divvy out the licenses and security and so forth. Okay? But that's part of our suite here. Then lastly, we have our Dynamics offering, which is our third cloud as Microsoft, which has these components. And in short, we say to people, it all works together. Everything's authenticated. One of our value propositions is if you go to Salesforce, for example, we say about Salesforce, we say, great, you know all of your stuff's not in one place, and you are going through multiple clouds, and you are assuming that the security is there all the way through. So for example, there's the Force.com cloud, which is on Oracle in their data centers. Great. You want to now go to the Marketing Cloud. Well, that's somewhere else on a different security. So you're constantly leaving kind of all of one place, which is what Microsoft is. You never leave. When you get into the Microsoft as a user to go to the suite of applications, you don't go anywhere else. So you're not going to multiple places. If you got to go to Tableau, which they're recently purchasing, that's somewhere else. So this is all in the Microsoft Cloud infrastructure, and it is all on what is called the Common Data Service for apps. This is all built on a common data service. So if you think, what is the Common Data Service? Well, if you're a business, you probably need, at a minimum, accounts, contacts, and activities as kind of your base structure, and then there are some others. So we have built a common data service that can house applications like Dynamics, which has sales, marketing, customer service, or Power Apps, which is what Dynamics is built on. So you could develop point applications for Power Apps, but it's all up in the Dynamics cloud. Oh, excuse me, in the Azure cloud, excuse me. Does that make sense? Did that answer your question?
Yeah, that's what I thought. So the like all the information in the Common Data Service, can that be accessed through like APIs I from the certifications I took, I understand there's limited kind of third party integration that can be done, but like the contacts and all that is everything's through the Microsoft products, but would it be possible for third party applications to access that contact, those contacts, update it, and so on?
Sure. So let me give you an example here. So it's actually two ways here. 51319. This is our Power Platform, one of my generic slide decks here. So I know this is a little tough to see, but our Power Apps, our Power Platform, which is made up of three components: Power Apps, which is a low code, no code development environment, similar to what you are seeing as you're developing within Dynamics. There's what's called Canvas apps and model driven apps. We're doing a model driven app right now. But if you'll notice over here on the right, we have connectors to about 230 different cloud services, including Salesforce, Box.net, Outlook, Dropbox, etc., all the way through. So we do have some pre-made connectors, and then of course there are APIs that are accessible as well. And there are three components to the Power Platform, which is the Power Apps, which I mentioned, low code, no code development environment. There is also a Power BI, business intelligence, which is our analytics platform, which quite frankly is used by Salesforce customers, Oracle customers, what have you, with these various connectors to run their analytics reports. And then Microsoft Flow, which is a middleware that allows the applications to talk to one another. So let's say you make a change in Salesforce and you want that change to reflect in your accounting system. Microsoft Flow can be used to do that.
Okay, yeah, that's bringing back everything I learned during the certifications. Okay, cool. Most of that stuff, though, from what I read in the statement of work, is a bit out of scope, right? Like all these these capabilities aren't really something that's going to be applicable to the current project.
Yes, the statement of work is all about the current project, not the stuff we've been talking about to integrate with other systems.
Okay, the one kind of in scope question I have, I guess you could say, is the solution that I've seen that kind of we've been working on. Where I mean, how that is. How does that tie into, I guess, Dynamics? I mean, like I said yesterday, I have access to the account, I have access to the environment, I can create contacts and so on. But like that custom solution, how is that? How does that come into play with that environment?
We are basically saying, what are the changes we are making to the overall dynamics? We're only making changes to, it's not that one, it's this one here, sorry. Let me open up Dynamics and then we can. So this will answer your question here. So the solution file is what we use to share configurations from one environment to another. So in that solution file, we're saying, okay, what specifically are we making changes to the application on? So we're making changes to the account record. We're making changes to the contact record. We've added some custom entities. So all of those get bundled up in a unmanaged solution for you to essentially copy and paste into a production environment. So we're using this as a sandbox, and you could use this as a sandbox to go somewhere else as well.
Yeah, okay. So that's the copy and paste part is where I was kind of trying to figure out yesterday. It's how to get that solution into the actual environment so the different forms match what's in the solution. And that's something, I mean, the certification certainly went over that, but that solution, is that available to kind of anyone on the 365 platform? Like when I was looking to add the sales or sales hub, right? There's a ton of different apps. I mean, and they're not just created by Microsoft. There's different companies and so on that had different apps that could be added. So that's what I was wondering.
That is correct. So yeah, so those are, so there's two types of solutions. There is a managed solution, which is like a third-party solution, like a DocuSign integration or a Inside View integration or a Versium integration. Those are all put out by third parties, okay? And they bundle these solutions so that they can sell them. But in a managed solution, you cannot make any further changes to it at all. So you can only uninstall it, and when it uninstalls all the bits associated with it. In a unmanaged solution, it means you can continue to make further changes.
And this, so the military affairs solution we have here, it's unmanaged, and that's, like you said, why we can make updates to it. But I mean, at some point, is the final deliverable going to be a managed solution that's like?
No, it's going to be an unmanaged.
Okay. So that's from reading the statement of work. It seems like this is kind of very specific to a small number of individuals who are going to be using it, or is this more or less just like a sandbox where students can kind of learn how to create and deliver on an ask within 365 or Dynamics?
I'm not sure I'm understanding your question. I apologize.
Yeah, I mean, like, from reading the statement of work, I put together kind of like a PowerPoint of how the information is handled, like moves from point A to point B, using 365. And it seems like this is something that could be, it could be turned into a managed solution at some point. So
it could, but this is such a specific thing. I don't think we'd ever going to want to do that. And you're doing this work for them, so you're doing work for hire. They own it. Well, I don't want to get into legal terms, but basically they're paying you to do it, so they own it. You're not going to bundle this and hold it hostage to them.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I mean, but I mean, managed solutions are like there's no way to just give them away.
No, you can't even copy managed solutions. That's the other thing. Yeah, it'll crap out on you and says, no, sorry, you can't do it.
Interesting. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, and again, this is more along the lines of like outside the scope of work that was actually requested, and how to create a managed solution to pretty much put on the Dynamics 365 marketplace, for lack of a better term, outside of the current engagement.
Yeah, no, yeah. That you would, if you have a great idea for some kind of a managed solution, have at it.
I mean, yeah, that's what, is that possible? That's what someone could develop an app, put it on 365, and that's the end of it, or is there something that needs to be done through?
No,
Like,
no, that's it.
Okay, cool.
You've got an idea for the great whiz-bang app that everyone of the Dynamics community would like, and you want to sell it, all the better.
Okay, neat. But as far as this solution goes, the final deliverable is going to be a complete unmanaged solution that's posted here. It's the actual integration will be handled by whoever it's delivered to,
Probably by me, or someone else on John's team that will be
Okay.
copied over to to their production copy of Dynamics.
Okay, so now,
Just to be clear, Dan Shoemate is the designated admin for this application once it goes into, into production.
Okay, but he doesn't know how to do things, so he's the designated admin, but we're not going to have him copy and paste all these things and blah blah.
Understood. Okay, yeah.
and the production environment is like when I log into 365 and I see the Sales Hub, that is the production environment. Like if this solution was imported to or ported to the production environment, all the forms would show as they show in the solution if it was made production.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, you're not going to see it because you don't have a Microsoft.com alias or not a Microsoft employee. Production environment.
Got it. But how would I test? I mean, the
At some point, I'm going to try to give you access. I just don't have that right now. I have some ways to give some third-party people access. I have to request it.
Oh, okay. Yep. No, understood. I've worked with Microsoft before. Cool. Yeah. No. I'm feeling a lot more comfortable with the product and kind of making the changes and so on. So yeah, cool. Thanks for the time today, for certain.
No problem. All right. So where are we, John? What do we want to review? I mean, did you figure out did we figure out what happened with the entities? I didn't spend any time on it other than yesterday, and I couldn't figure out what was going on. Again, I would normally just set it up from scratch and it would work, but I'm not sure. Did you figure this out?
That's something Victor's going to be working on today. So I'm not sure what progress he's made. Robert, maybe you and he talked about it yesterday. I wasn't fully on that call, but I know that he had another issue that I think his approach was going to be just simply to delete the entire custom entity and then just recreate it. As I think you had suggested that might be something to do. And
if I was trying to if I'm trying to find a needle in the haystack and I can't find, I'm just going to get rid of the haystack and buy a new needle.
Yeah. And I think, that's his plan. And I'm trying to think of what issues he had. I think the access issues are definitely there. I
think he's good. He should be good now. I just looked.
He's good, and I think they figured out. Yeah, you did figure out the issue of too many entities showing up. So I think we're good. He did log in as me yesterday because of the access thing, but I think we're figured out there. One question I have is, would you advise us, because I may be doing some work on it, Robert may be doing some work, maybe Daniel or Sarita, do you see that as a problem as long as we're not, in the same areas and the same entities or forms?
That's correct. As long as if someone's working on forms, great. If someone's working on views, great. So yeah.
Okay. Now my big burning platform right now is getting this thing to the point where we can migrate it into the production environment. Obviously, it still needs testing, but I want to get it to the point where we can start migrating the data. I'm just working backward, right? How much testing will we need before we can declare this, pretty much done? Because we want to have it, quote, done by the 30th.
All the forms, all the views, all got to be set up appropriately. I mean, that's the biggest thing. That's it. All the forms, all the views got to be set up appropriately. They work, they navigate, etc. That's it. That's the only thing. And maybe some we can do some sample data testing to bring in data migration.
Well, we'll need to do that with applications and how applications, job orders, and contacts and employers interact. Right now, we don't have the ability to even create one.
I don't think we're gonna, no, well, you can create one-off, which is great. The import is just gonna be contacts. It'll be accounts and contacts. Whether that it's an employer contact or a candidate contact, that's all you're gonna be importing in. You're not gonna be setting up all the job order stuff. You're not gonna be importing into job orders or setting up a relationship between the applicants and the job orders at this point. I'm pretty sure that's what I set up in the statement of work.
Okay, but so the job orders are going to be, I think they're going to be created or entered manually for now until the military affairs team can set up an integration that sucks all that information out from SharePoint.
Which is outside scope. Outside of scope.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. We're not outside of the scope of this, but that is the plan, and we want to deliver this in a way that allows them to, implement that at some point.
Correct, at some point.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Well, I would love, my hope would be that, if Victor is successful today, that we can demonstrate this thing to, your satisfaction, and make this so that, we can essentially move all of the custom parts into that production environment. So we're not dealing with like, a sales overlay or anything like that.
Yeah, we actually have to create. So what we're going to end up doing is, for everyone on the line, is remember, there are various apps that are part of the Dynamics, and these are specific configured apps: sales, marketing, customer service, etc. Those are very specific apps. So what we're going to end up doing is we're going to create our own app that will show up right here, and all the rest of these will go away, and there's only going to be one, and it's called, I don't know, military affairs applicant tracking, whatever we're going to call it. I don't know, got to have a shorter name than that, but that's what is going to end up happening. We're going to create our own app.
Okay, and then, but it's still going to be on the CRM 88 or whatever?
Correct.
Well, that's a 90-day trial, right? So at some point it's going to be.
Trial. Yes, so we're going to expire it.
Okay, and then move it to a permanent home.
Correct.
Okay, got it. But essentially, that will then become the new development and test environment that will wholesale or can be migrated wholesale to another server.
I'm trying to figure out why you need to go to another server since it's on our production at that point.
Oh, okay. That's what I meant. Another, yeah, that's maybe that's the wrong terminology, but I just want to make sure I understand. Once we do that and isolate all of the needed parts, then we're pretty much ready for, after a little bit more testing, ready for the data import, right? Because that may take a while. We may need some trial and error there.
Yes, you'll definitely need some trial and error there, and that we'll have to figure that out when it comes.
The mapping and stuff like that, and maybe we need to add a field for reference or for source or something like that. But
well, so the nice thing is, I'm going to share with you something here. So if I go to, let me go to my accounts here. If you will notice, there's an Excel template here.
Mm-hmm.
And I can download a template.
That already has the field names populated and ready to go.
Yeah, exactly. Let's just download a template here. Account. I'll just go all accounts, active accounts.
That's pretty cool. So you don't have, like in Salesforce, you got data loader and you've got to, have a separate application. This is all another good example of how integration really benefits.
Yeah, but if you'll notice here, this view only has these columns in it.
Right.
okay? So you'll have to create a view that will have all the columns in it that you can import in.
Right.
So
right.
it's actually pretty simple. So I mean, you don't even have to do it this way. There's a number of ways you can do it.
Yeah, no, this is exactly analogous to the way it's done in the other applications I'm familiar with. Let's put it that way.
Sure. Okay. So what does anyone need from a training standpoint or what have you from where we stopped off yesterday to continue to fix the issues? And as I remember, let me go to sample company here. So there's some cleanup here. You've got employer old, you've got employer, I'm not sure what those are. You've got contacts. Oh, there's no contacts on this one. Okay, well, let's just go to Barbara Cantu. Who's she with? Is she with?
Oh, that's candidate. Well, yeah. So she's the candidate view. I think that's the other really key issue, John, is
Oh, that's
to
interesting. Yeah, to set that up. I understand, but that's interesting. Why did I go when I go to sample company and I go to contacts? Why is she not showing up on my active contacts? Oh, there she is. So we got to figure that out. Okay, so go back to Barbara. Let's go to the candidate view. I know we need to set that up as well.
now the candidate as a candidate. If you go to career, the career tab up, the fourth
Okay,
tab
so
up on top.
service status. Can they have all of these?
No, that's another one that we need to again. That's on the the
The fix.
list of
And
stuff
then
to
you've
do.
got another tab. I don't know what this stuff is. Career.
Yeah, career. So go over to the right, and you'll see that the candidate can be associated, right? As a candidate, they're associated with the company. The company name is there on the right.
Yeah, and by the way, you can't have this stuff here
Yeah,
too.
yeah, we're aware of it. I put that out there for somebody to fix,
Okay.
and then that'll get fixed. And I don't know what another tab is. I think maybe that was a Victor thing. I'm not sure, but
Yeah, and they can't have all enrollment stages. They're going
right.
to be in one of these, so that needs
Well,
to be.
you know, that's okay because that was definitely a single option pick list. When
It's set up as a
don't,
multi.
I know, but I had originally set it up as a single,
Okay.
and I'm not sure why it get reverted back because that.
Okay,
Anyway,
remember,
we'll get that.
remember you may have to delete it and recreate it, but you can't delete it until you remove it from all the forms and all the views.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Looks like that's a typo there, training STIE.
Well, let me, while we're at that, Daniel, you're I don't know if you're still on or not. You're on mute, but is that something you'd be willing to take on? Is to essentially take all those multi-select fields that should be single select and just convert that?
I can do that.
That'd be fantastic. Yeah, Robert's got some things. Victor's got some things, and but yeah, if you'd be willing to do that, you understand what needs to be done on those?
Yes. Yes, I
Great.
understand.
Fantastic. And that'll make it, frankly, that'll make it easier for Dan and Carol to, identify exactly which fields are to be considered, or rather the drop-down values to be evaluated. So thank you.
Okay. What else do you need from me?
I have a kind of a minor thing here, and maybe
Sure.
it's not a big deal, but and I think I've sort of figured it out, but it's like, is there any way to set the field length on a form so that it doesn't migrate all over the place when you shrink the window size?
Yes and no.
It might have something to do with this, basically the creating a new section or something like that. But
No. So you're talking about on the views or on the form?
on the form.
Okay, so on this
Views,
form,
no problem. Yeah.
so,
So
how do you
basically,
shrink this down, right?
well, yeah, you don't really need, like I say, if it would be really nice to allow people to see all the information they need on one single screen without having to scroll. And what it usually does is assigns a full line to like a very short little field length.
Okay,
Right.
so
So go to the career one, because that has 2 columns.
okay,
Yeah. And you can see, I mean, the rank, for example, I mean, it's just going to be like, that's like 3 letters, right?
Yep.
You don't really need a full line, a full row to do that. I'd like to be able to make it so that you're not falling off the side of the thing because of too
So,
much space.
so here's your design issues that you gotta think about here. So first off, in this form, this happens to be a contact form. Candidate. So you're here. So if you'll notice, you have 2 sections here, which is why it's kind of elongated. So what you can do is make this entire box, change the properties to it, and instead of 2 columns, make it 3 equal columns, or 2 equal and the middle one's a little differently, or you could even set your custom widths right here.
Yeah, which I've tried, and
Well,
but,
so there's a couple, well, you'd have to go to 3 columns first off. You're already
okay.
you're at 2, so
Right.
can't do much of that. So you got to go to 3 to shrink it. The
Okay.
challenge, and I want you to just think about this, is what happens if I'm blind, okay, and I'm going to make this bigger. So if you'll notice, this is what's called a responsive design. So your eyes
okay.
might be great, someone other eyes may not be, and hence you're getting this. So this is all really small. Every one of these is small. So maybe this one you want to make in 3 columns, but if there might be a long one, you may really still want it to be 2 given what's going on.
Okay, good point. Good point. Thank you.
Okay.
I think that actually solves it. It's not, formatting at this point is not a big issue, but I was just kind of stymied by that. I spent a lot of time and couldn't figure it out. So
yeah, the other thing you could do here is, let's just look at this. You know how this isn't quite matching up here? I'm going to go here and I'm going to go to insert a spacer.
Yeah.
And then you have candidate statement here and you got resume here. So I'm just going to do this here. I'm just going to label the section and just get rid of that. Just, it's easier here. Maybe I'll do that. And then here, I don't need to show it twice.
Right.
Don't need that. And then here, we actually do have it showing up twice, so we don't need it.
Now, John, this is Robert. The changes you're making right now, if I go to look at the solution in this form, all these changes will be implemented in my view as well?
So I have to save it first, almost, and I'm going to publish it, so then it will appear.
Okay, awesome.
So it's not quite there yet.
Got it. But yeah, when you're making changes, it changes the entire solution for anybody accessing it. Okay, outstanding.
So now I'll go back here. I'll refresh my screen. Why is that not refreshing? I think it was the candidate one I just did, didn't I?
Yep.
Was it career? Yeah. Huh. Didn't quite like the one space. It did get rid of a few things, but I may need to add another. Well, it's a little odd. One's bigger than the other. I don't know what you did here. Let's see here. Formatting, 4 lines, 5. I'm just gonna make this 10. Sometimes when you add in spaces like that, it doesn't quite all do it. So, see if I add another spacer, but I suspect it will probably, the formatting is kind of a little hokey sometimes. And now it looks like it's off, but it may actually just be perfect. So we're gonna find out here. So sometimes this just takes a little playing with. That already published so quickly? Wow, that was fast. Okay, let me refresh the screen here. Yeah, and if they don't have equal stuff, it's a little hokey. But
you know what it probably is that you've got the line down there maybe takes up a little more space. Anyway, never mind. No, that's not true. That's not true. Forget it. Hey,
yeah,
we'll figure it out. This is all this stuff is icing on the cake for right now. Let's get that structure right. And
correct.
And yeah, we'll then the form follows function, right?
Correct.
Quite literally in this case.
Correct. Okay, so you had said you had that question on that, John. What other questions do you or the team have for me to kind of assist you and walk you through a few things? Any other questions?
You know, those are for now. Those are all the questions I have. I think I'm going to let Victor and Robert and Daniel do their thing, and probably won't do much of anything before tomorrow. But I'm sure those guys will have a lot of questions.
Okay.
Tomorrow.
Okay.
So John, thank you.
Yeah. Great. And then hopefully you guys are seeing the ease of use within the ease of setup and so forth with this.
Yeah, I sure am. This is great. And let's see. Yeah, so I did record this. I'll post it up to the YouTube channel. And I think if there's no other questions, let's break. We're going to meet again tomorrow. But thank you again, John. Really appreciate your time.
Okay, great. And then, John, if you could stay on for a few minutes, that'd be great. I have a couple things.
Yeah, you bet. Absolutely. All right. So I'm going to end the recording, and I will talk to Robert, Daniel. Good luck with all the configuration, and I'm around most of the day if you want to try to reach me. So I'm good.
All right. Thanks a lot, guys.
All right.
Okay, take care.
Thank you.